Hope you're doing well. I got some new things that I would like to play with. I got some Japanese chisels as a gift. And I've always been kind of fascinated by the idea of Japanese chisels, but I have never had any. I don't have any incorporated into my workflow, into these tools that I have at all. So let's just kind of take a look at these. What are they? What's the deal with Japanese chisels? Are they any different from Western style? To start out with, this is white oak. These are about 8.5 inches long, 12 millimeter, close to half an inch, 9 millimeter, 3/8, and 6 millimeters, about 1/4 of an inch. And then we have the little Japanese symbols on here, which obviously I can't read. If we compare this, so here we have like a socket chisel, and let's do this one. So traditional Western chisels, we have like a tang chisel and a socket chisel. So these are kind of on the small side, so great like detail work chisels. I mean, first of all, like, what does it feel like? To me, it feels balanced. It feels nice in your hand. Of course, one thing that stands out to you right away is this kind of metal ring here. Now, from my research, you're supposed to, or you can, take this metal ring off, suppress the wood a little bit, bring the ring down a little bit further, and then mushroom out the wood a little bit. And the reason for that is because you often use like Japanese style hammers when using these chisels, and you don't actually want to hit the metal, you want to hit the wood. Here, by the way, is a Japanese hammer, and it's gorgeous, and it has like so heavy and has a great balance. And I mean, when you're looking at these things, I mean, right away what stands out is the fact that the steel is, you know, still forged, you know, other than the tip. It hasn't been cleaned off, which is a different look for sure. The ferrule is different. Another thing that stands out, look at these handles. These are straight. Here are a variety of these other handles, and none of these handles are actually straight. They have various shapes. Some of these handles I've made myself, but this is like a woodcraft chisel, and it has like kind of grippy point. Here we have a gouge. This is one of our London style handles. So just lots of kind of shape going on, whereas these have this round, straight shape, which looks kind of nice, doesn't it? I mean, it looks very simplistic. And then we have this black steel ferrule and black steel ring, and it goes into here. I think these are socket chisels, just like this. Of course, the difference between a socket and a tang chisel is that here the wood goes inside the metal, whereas on here the wood goes around the metal. So there's a spear on the inside here that you insert into the handle, and that's how it keeps in place. I've had these fly off the handle a couple of times, this style chisel. Let me, Japanese chisel, socket or tang. It looks to me like a socket chisel, but I don't know. So after a quick Google search here, Japanese chisels appear at first glance to be socket chisels, which is what I was thinking, but they are definitely tang chisels. So in other words, there should be a metal part going into the wood. Don't really want to take it apart, but that would be, you know, the thing to do otherwise. One thing that is interesting about these chisels is, of course, how the back is slightly like hollowed, and that's the way the Japanese chisels are made. It's not quite as easy to see on these smaller ones. So I'm curious what angle these have. Traditionally, Japanese chisels often have around 30 degrees, according to my research anyway. So let's start with putting this in the 30-degree slot. And it's pretty good fit. 25, definitely not 35. I would say these right now are sharpened to somewhere in between the 25 to 30. Maybe like 27, 28. Of course, what angle you have your chisel sharpened at, I mean, it can vary depending on what the purpose of the chisel is, right? Like this guy right here, I have this sharpened to about 35 degrees. And this more distinct chisel right here also is sharpened to about 35 degrees. Chisels are always kind of, they're kind of a personal preference, right? Like what you're doing with them and how you prefer, like how do you use them. I've been kind of curious about the concept of Japanese chisels for a while. There doesn't seem to be a huge amount of difference between the two, other than some obvious kind of changes here. It looks different. The steel is forged in a different way. It has this hollow kind of look here. The angle is different. And I assume the steel is different as well. That's kind of hard to tell just by looking at it. So let's just kind of see what it feels like in the hand. It has a really nice balance, I would say. It's very light. I would assume so, but... Just testing it out on some end grain here. It's different having this, the metal ring at the end, which protrudes too. It's not sunk into the wood. Like, for example, I have my mortising chisel there, which also has a metal ring here, but it's like, it's smooth on the wood. So this kind of protrudes. So in order to hold it like that, it does have a different feel in your hand. This is very sharp. But it feels quite, it's small. I'm just using some framing lumber here. Here we have a Wood River one. This is a 1/2 inch one. You don't have that kind of protruding feel in your hand. And the handle is just actually a lot larger. Like in comparison, this whole thing feels smaller in your hand. The diameter is smaller. This feels, I don't know, this is much more nimble. Oh, this feels like a very large and kind of chunky comparatively, and this feels, I don't know, very elegant to me. This being a sharper angle than this, I think it feels quite noticeably. Let's get a piece of hardwood. Got a piece of oak here, so let's just kind of play a little bit and see what we can do here. This, I don't know, this feels, it's kind of like a whole different type of chisel. I really think so. Because the parts in themselves, are not that different. You have metal and you have wood, right? And you have a sharp point. It does the same thing. But when it comes down to... I was working on this and then I was thinking, oh my god, these feel so light in my hand. And then I was thinking, are they really? No. Like, other chisels here feel about the same weight for the same size chisel. Like here we have a 1/4 inch if I compare it to this one. It's just that the balance is very different in your hand, and they may be slightly different in weight, but not something really that substantial. But when I was working on this here, I feel like they're light as air in a way. It's a different kind of experience. Should we go sharpen them a little bit? Of course, it comes, sharpened from the factory, obviously, right? But it's usually not that good. And I'm not trying to change the angle on here at all. I'm just trying to sharpen it up a little bit. This is a fine stone. Do a little honing to remove the burr. Honing is just something you need to do a lot more often than you are. So a little sharpening, later a little honing. I got a micro bevel on this one, whatever. The thing is, I guess, having new toys, or I said new toys. having new tools, right, is always like a lot of fun because you have a new toy to play with. But I can definitely see while people are into these Japanese chisels, they just have a much kind of lighter, the way they feel in your hand, the way they lie in your hand, the movement you get out of them. I think it has a different, feel more like an extension of yourself, I think, of your hand. And isn't that the way all good tools should feel like, right? Of course, they feel very sharp, and I don't know if that's the steel. I mean, the angle is different. I think it feels different, the way they move, the way it kind of feels. But more than anything, just like the balance of it is really nice. Makes me feel like just getting, like, I could see getting a whole bunch of Japanese chisels and kind of moving away from Western style chisels. Although I guess I probably shouldn't say anything until I've actually used them for a while, right? And built something with them. But I would like to get a larger one as well. I mean, these are all on the smaller side. It would be cool to get a larger one too, you know, like a 3/4 inch or 1 inch one, and see what it's actually like. And then build a project out of them, build something substantial, or at the very least make a wooden box, right? I'll put a link to these in the description if I can find them, since they were a gift. I'm not completely sure. I actually have the box over here. Hold on. I guess it shouldn't be too hard to find. Here we have the boxes, if you were curious what they were. I think these were from Amazon. These are called kakuri. Kakuri. So yeah, fun! The other thing that this is making me think about. Okay, so look here. See this one right here. We made this one to hold some hammers, and I really like the style of this cabinet right here. Here you can see it has this cutout, so it's like a perfect hand tool project because there's this joinery and everything goes through, and there's a hole in the middle for the hammers to go. Of course, when you're working with chisels, you have to think about it a little bit different. Like, here's a different chisel holder, and this has the leather here because you want to protect the tip. Kind of try to figure something out that incorporates this design and maybe this design, or I don't know, something like that. Here's some other new tools. These are kind of a combination of Christmas, birthday, that kind of thing. So we have these little small hammers, which are gorgeous. Brush. For, you know, tongue oil primarily is what I was thinking about. And then all of these little tiny, like almost like dental tools. But I'm also thinking, like, just like, you know, you make stuff, you need stuff like this, right? Poke in areas, make marks, leather work, whatever. Anyway, so we have a bunch of new tools like that, and I think they need a home, right? So I think that would be a cool thing to do. So overall, great looking chisels, fun with new tools. So let me know what you think about these Japanese style chisels. Have you tried them? Have you incorporated them into your tools, your tool collection? I can definitely see myself getting a couple more, and I love them. Hope you're doing well, and I'll see you soon. This right here is one of my favorite socket chisels. This is a gorgeous chisel, and this has a great balance. This feels great in your hand. But even this feels chunkier in your hand, I would say, than this one. So